Hello and welcome to day 17 of World FND Awareness Month. We're into the second half and it's all downhill from here. What are you going to do after this month? I don't know what I'm going to talk about. You have to drop me a comment if you want me to talk about anything in particular, otherwise it's just going to be me and a cup of tea in the morning. Anyway, today's subject is my worst symptom, and this is not a difficult one for me. FND has a variety of symptoms that you can find out by looking at my account or anyone else who talks about FND. Anything that's affected by the brain, it can be affected by FND, so the entire body. However, for me, it's walking or the lack of walking. So it's very inconsistent, but my baseline is that I can't walk by myself anymore since May. And within that are varying degrees of being able to weight bear to a degree, as long as I'm very supported by my upper body, to not being able to feel anything at all. So the lack of sensation and the lack of coordination and control over my legs is the biggest symptom for me. And the varying degrees of how much that impacts me is one of the things I find really difficult. As I said before in my video, if it was just I couldn't do X, Y, Z, then I would come to terms with that, understand that. But it's this uncertainty all the time. Every morning you get up and you think, what can I do today? How much are they going to respond to me? And that it starts off with sitting up in bed and trying to swing your legs over the side of the bed. Even that, it's like, what can I do every single day? And not even just when you first wake up. Sometimes it's just every time you move. You can go from being able to stand up and transfer into your wheelchair with some weight bearing to not being able to move your legs at all. So it's really, really had a massive impact on my life. I've gone from somebody who used to go running. I was actually training for a 10k for charity when things started to go wrong with the dizziness and all of that I mentioned. So I used to go to the gym all the time. I used to dance. I've danced competitions before, and so having my mobility taken from me is one of the most challenging things. However, having my mobility taken in varying degrees is worse than it just being taken. It's just, you can't ever come to terms with it, and you're always living with, oh, well, I could do it yesterday, why can't I do it today? And you're always having your hopes built up and then crushed again, and that's really, really difficult for me. This is always my experience. Sorry, I dropped my phone. Okay, so you're here. So yeah, the inability to count on what my legs can and can't do is the biggest problem for me. So as most of you know, I have a wheelchair. This is my second wheelchair now. It's an active wheelchair, rigid frame, which is much better, much lighter, and I feel much, much more independent because I don't have to have people pushing me, shoulder pain dependent. So from that respect, having the right wheelchair, if you're struggling with walking, I would say, if you think you might need a mobility device, just get a mobility device, whatever that is, whether that's a walking stick or crutches or a rollator or frame or a wheelchair. If it helps you remain independent and have that sense of self that you can take yourself where you want to go when you want to go there, then get that thing. Who gives a damn what anyone else thinks about it? It's your life. That's something that I wish I'd come to terms with much, much quicker, because I fought it for so long that I actually ended up being stranded a couple of times where I literally couldn't get anywhere and I just had to sit on the pavement just in tears. Ridiculous. So my wheelchair is my best friend and I absolutely love it. It's bright green and bright pink at the moment, so it's cheerful like me, and I can move about in it, and it makes me feel like my old self as much as I possibly can.